Did you grow up with scarcity around food as a kid? Did you? Because I did. And I want you to know that this video is for you if you're one of those people that still act and behave that way, even if you've got money. Are you somebody that goes to the reduced section? Do you know where the reduced section is in Sainsbury's, Asda, Lidl, Tesco if you're in the United Kingdom? Because if that's the first destination you go and you can actually afford not to eat that way, this video is really going to help you understand that actually your inner child is in control, not you, when you're going and heading straight to that reduced section. So what I'd love to share with you is why you're doing that. Because most of you, it will be the autopilot. It will be the inner child going and remembering a time back then when there was no food, when that was the only choice. How many of you grew up and you had to clear your plate and eat what was ever on it and be thankful? Because what happens is what your inner child saw growing up, that continues to play out in your life until you actually start to connect with your inner child and you do something that we call reparenting. Reparenting is where we actually understand what is happening now with the patterns. And rather than going back to the past, we actually connect with our inner child and we give them what they needed back then, now. That's why I will always say talking therapy only helps to a certain point and it actually re-traumatizes you. But when it comes to scarcity around food and you not treating yourself or allowing yourself good things, because this isn't only about food, this can also be about clothes. Are you somebody that is always save, 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 scrimp, scrimp, scrimp? And this isn't a video, for somebody that has to because of the cost of living crisis. But if you have the option of actually having decent, good food, but you're still hunting in the bargain section, that's the inner child in control there. And what we need to do is find that beautiful, gorgeous inner child inside of you. Your inner child is operating on autopilot. That's the part of you that is making decisions and choices based around food, relationships, and money. And when it comes to you being that person that is going to that reduced section and feeling really great and feeling really good, you're reinforcing the message to your inner child every single time that that's how it has to be. And what we need to do when it comes to healing the inner child is actually understand, why do they believe that? That's what reparenting is. It's looking at, what story have I been telling myself around the scarcity of food? I'll give you an example here. My best mate can tap into my memories and I can tap into hers. And she said to me about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, Kel, why am I seeing you as a 9-year-old girl going to the cupboard and there are tins that have no labels on? And that's where the origin of this video has come from. And that you used to go hungry and that you used to have to eat whatever was in those tins. And I'd forgotten that memory until my best mate prodded me and gave me that. But what was happening was, until I actually understood through reparenting what was happening, that was still playing out in my life. I was still literally sometimes popping into Lidl just to go and have a look at the reduced section. And it wasn't until I actually got to the bottom of it and I actually sat with my inner child and I started letting her have more than the reduced section. I started actually going, let's have some really nice food. So rather than going to buy, I don't know, salmon or really expensive steak, what I did was I started meeting her in the middle and the halfway. But this is where reparenting and inner child work is massive, because you connect with the inner child and you tell them what you're doing and why, and you understand why that pattern is playing out. So I'll give you an example of the conversation that I had with LK that I'd love you to have with your inner child too. And it goes something like this. Hey, LK, are you there? It's Daddy. Hey, Daddy. And I want you to know your inner child has its own voice the more that you connect with. LK, Daddy would love to chat to you about food and why we always go to the reduced section and we're always looking for bargains. LK, can you help me with that? Daddy's quite simple. We used to always do that as a child. Like, we always do that, right? We've always got to look for the bargains. It's a game. Mum used to make it a game. Ah, okay. So do you think that's how it has to be now? Do you think that's how we have to do things? Well, yeah, 'cause we got no money, Daddy. Oh, okay. Remember, Daddy shows you Daddy's bank account every Monday when we have our little meeting about finances. Yeah. So Daddy's got plenty of money, yeah? And Daddy's good. Yeah. So rather than going to the reduced section and always getting those bargains, next time we want to do that, can you be with Daddy? Yeah. So when we go and pick up reduced stuff, what I'm going to do with you is when we go and do that, I'm going to stop you and just remind you that I showed you Daddy's bank account on Monday. Okay, Daddy, that would help. And that's just an example of a conversation that I had with my inner child. Because one of the things that I do to really help my inner child, I show her how good life is on a regular basis. I show her my bank account because I had massive issues and problems over abundance and money. And I used to live in the feast and famine, so I'd earn loads of money, and then the next month I'd earn absolutely nothing because I was living out the feast and famine. And what is important when you're doing the inner child work, which I give you the example of earlier, is you spot the pattern, you spot the habit, and then you actually sit down and you talk to your inner child and you see how compassionate and warm and soft I was. LK calls me her daddy because that's who I am to her. But I want you to know, if you've not ever contacted your inner child, until your inner child has its own unique name for you, and one of my friends, her inner child, she calls her Mama. Tell your inner child your name and your age. And I say that in so many of my videos because I want you to know that your inner child probably thinks you're about 6. And until you start saying that you are an adult of a certain age, your inner child doesn't actually know that. So that for me is how we start to really change our habit and our pattern around reduced and bargain hunting. The same can be said for clothes, and the same can be said for any scarcity around anything. And what I want you to know is actually your inner child is the version of you that is making all of these decisions and these choices. And like I said earlier, regardless whether you believe in the inner child principle or not, there is a part of you that is still stuck back then. But once I'd actually done some really great work with LK around the food, I was actually able to go and, buy really good food, have great meals out and stuff without looking and wondering about the price and all kinds of things. So this isn't about, going to the other extreme. This is about reparenting. This is about actually, I want to make a difference and I want to make a change. Yes, I know that some of you may have to live off the reduced and the bargain section. But if you're someone that is running your life on autopilot and you're living your life from an old timeline and a pattern, then I really hope you've taken something from this video right here that has really massively helped you. Anyway, I'll link a huge playlist up there full of all videos around the inner child and how you can actually learn to work with them around different techniques and stuff and things like that. I hope this video has helped you. I hope you've taken a lot from it, and let me know in the comments here. What was the best bit of this video that made you go, thanks, Kel? I'm really glad I clicked on it. Because I create my content from my own lived experience and I give you true reparenting examples to help you be the person that can learn to take back control of your life. I hope this helps. Cheers, take care, ta-da, bye-bye.